Hey guys, good morning. So today I'm going to jump right into our lesson because this is one that students in the past have really loved. Our text for today is called The Lady or the Tiger. This is one of the longer texts we have read so far, but it is really interesting and I think you all will really like it. I'm not going to tell you what it's about because in a second I'm going to have you make an inference on what it is about based on a video we're going to watch. But I am going to tell you we're going to work on our inferencing skills. So as we read this text, I want you to think about, okay, what inferences can I make about how characters are feeling, what's going to happen next, or what a character's thought process is. So remember, inferences have your text evidence or evidence that's in front of you, and then your background knowledge together to make an educated guess about what will happen, how someone is feeling, etc. So go ahead and open up that document on Canvas. It is called The Lady or the Tiger, Day 1, and it should have today's date on it as well. As you open that up, I'm going to share the screen with you and we'll get started on the PowerPoint. All right, so like I said, this is called The Lady or the Tiger. We are working on inferences, as well as at the end of this, we're going to be working on those race strategy questions that we learned in lessons a few days ago. So short answer questions with that specific format. All right, so this is the video we are going to watch. If you have ever seen the show Let's Make a Deal, this video is from there. So as we watch this video, I want you to make an inference about why do you think we watched this video? So this has something to do with our story today. Based on this video, what might the story be about? We're gonna read this same story today and tomorrow. So you have this question on the PowerPoint, you have this at the top of your document. As we watch this video, I want you to type in your answer. I'll give you 30 seconds. Go ahead and fill that in. Just pause the video and then unpause it when you're finished. All right, so you should have answered that question. Our story today, a lot of students in the past have said maybe the person wins something, maybe they are, making a choice. Both are close. I don't know about winning something, but we are going to read today. It's called The Lady or the Tiger for a reason. There's something about a choice between a lady and a tiger, or a tiger, excuse me. And obviously that might seem self-explanatory, easy choice, but it gets really complicated in the story we're going to read. So also, I want you all to know that the story we are going to read, as you can see on your passage, it has some very old sounding words: untrammeled, barbaric, what else? Self-communing. These words we don't use a lot, right? But this is good practice for us. This is a very, very old story. It's lasted a long time. So this is good practice for us. You don't have to understand every single word in order to understand the passage. Make those annotations and keep reading, answer the questions well. So we will talk about some of these words, but do not get stuck on one word you don't know. Still get the main idea of the passage and what the characters are feeling, all right? So we will go through these annotations together, but I'm also going to stop as I go to address a few things and some words we may not know. So we are, like normal, going to go through steps 1 and 2. We're going to read all questions at the bottom during step 2. So here we go. Let's look at that virtual document. Okay, so we're looking at the title, The Lady or the Tiger. Make this bigger. The Lady or the Tiger. We're going to predict something about that. Well, we kind of talked about it. Lady or the Tiger, making a choice maybe. That's about all I can predict based on the title. Don't, in your prediction in your head, don't say, oh, it's something about a tiger. Well, that's not going to help you out at all. So maybe making a choice or somebody gets stuck with one or the other. Then we have to talk about our genre. So is this fiction, nonfiction, or poetry? Well, The Lady or the Tiger, and then I look through it, it's divided into sections, but the way it's written, it seems like a story. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is fiction. And then remember, when we annotate, fiction is, our annotations are main idea, so what is happening, and how the character is feeling. What is happening, how the character is feeling. Keep that in mind. Let's scroll down to those questions. Okay, we are reading all of these questions you're going to answer in race strategy, but we still need to look for those keywords. So question 1, Paragraph 1 states, "For nothing pleased him so much as to make the crooked straight and crush down uneven places." Based on the quote, what inference can you make about how the king rules his kingdom? So we're looking at keywords here. Paragraph 1, this is where we find it, and we need to go back in the text to paragraph 1. And then inference, you are looking for an inference, and how the king rules his kingdom. Okay, we need to look for what kind of ruler is he. If it describes it in the text, we need to pay attention during that section. Okay, question 2. According to the selection, what was the purpose of the amphitheater? Well, remember that we're not ever going to look at keywords like according to the selection, because everything is according to the selection or based on the text, right? Not keywords. But keywords would be purpose and amphitheater. We may not know what the amphitheater is, but we need to look for that word to tell what is the purpose of that thing in the story. Okay, when we see this word in the text, we know, okay, there's a question about that. All right. Go ahead, read question 3 on your own. Pick out a few keywords that you'll just think about that you want to see in the text or that you want to pay attention to. All right, if you need more time, go ahead and pause the video and unpause it when you're finished. But now we have done step 2, and we're going to move on to step 3, which is chunk, read, and annotate. So this is chunked for you. We have 3 annotations, okay, and this is half the story. We'll do the other half tomorrow. But as I read, pay close attention to those key words from the questions, okay? I'm going to go 175 here. There we go. All right, section 1, here we go. In the very olden time, there lived a semi-barbaric king, whose ideas, though somewhat polished and sharpened by the progressiveness of distant Latin neighbors, were still large, florid, and untrammeled, as became the half of him which was barbaric. He was a man of exuberant fancy, and withal of an authority so irresistible that at his will he turned his varied fancies into facts. He was greatly given to self-communing, and when he and himself agreed upon anything, the thing was done. Okay, so when he and himself agreed upon anything, think about what kind of person says, "Oh, when me and myself agree." What kind of character does that make you? You're not necessarily thinking about anybody but yourself. Pretty selfish. Starting here. When every member of his domestic and political systems moved smoothly in its appointed course, his nature was bland and genial. But whenever there was a little hitch and some of his orbs got out of their orbits, he was blander and more genial still, for nothing pleased him so much as to make the crooked straight and crush down uneven places. This quote we saw in a question. Make sure you're paying attention to this. So crooked, straight, and crush down uneven places. Okay, so we know that he wants to make things right. He has one way of doing things, right? His way. And if it's not his way, there's a problem. Among the borrowed notions, right here, by which his barbarism had become simified, was that of the public arena, in which, by exhibitions of manly and beastly valor, the minds of his subjects were refined and cultured. But even here the exuberant and barbaric fancy asserted itself. The arena of the king was built, not to give the people an authority of hearing the rhapsodies of dying gladiators, nor to enable them to view the inevitable conclusion of a conflict between religious opinions and hungry jaws, but for purposes far better adapted to widen and develop the mental energies of the people. This vast amphitheater, remember we had a question about this, with its encircling galleries, its mysterious vaults, and its unseen passages, was an agent of poetic justice, in which crime was punished or virtue rewarded by the decrees of an impartial and incorruptible chance. Okay, before we do our annotation, let's talk a little bit. This last paragraph is pretty confusing, so let's just talk about a few things. So we have the words arena, gladiators, and amphitheater. Now, if you remember from history class, all those words can remind you of ancient Roman times where they would have gladiators fighting in this big arena. And sometimes if people were accused of a crime and convicted, they would be fed, especially if it was a religious crime, they would be fed to the lions or tigers in the arena. So I want to show you, some of you might know what an arena or an amphitheater is off the top of your head, but let's just get a visual on what that would look like. Okay, so look at all of these pictures right here. Sports, right? Hockey, basketball. Those are mostly what the arenas are. So it's just a main field or a place in the middle with all the seats going up around it, right? And you know, you have the box seats at the top, you have all the seats coming down in the middle. So this arena that the king has, somehow justice, his system of justice happens in the middle. And we will assume that there are a lot of people on the outsides watching what's going on in the middle. We don't really know what's going on in the middle yet, but we'll get explained that later. So I want you, whenever it says arena or amphitheater, to have this image in your mind. All right, so let's stop for annotation 1. I'll give you this one, and then I want you to do the next 2 on your own. So annotation 1, remember we're thinking about what happened and how the character is feeling or changing. So we need to identify the character. The king in the story sets up a system of justice in the arena. The king in the story sets up a system of justice in an arena. He only wants the kingdom to operate by his rules. So then we know he is selfish, but he also has a system of justice. Go ahead and copy that down. All right, pause the video if you need more time. Otherwise, let's move on to section 2. Here we go. So we have a king. We have this arena where justice happens. We don't know exactly how that works, but we'll find out soon. And this seems like it happened a long, long time ago, not in modern day or anything. Knowing that, let's start reading at paragraph 4, section 2. When a subject was accused of a crime of sufficient importance to interest the king, public notice was given that on an appointed day, the fate of the accused person would be decided in the king's arena, a structure which well deserved its name, for, although its form and plan were borrowed from afar, its purpose emanated solely from the brain of this man who, every barleycorn a king, knew no tradition to which he owed more allegiance than pleased his fancy, and who engrafted on every adopted form of human thought and action the rich growth of his barbaric idealism. All right, this word barbaric right here also comes from ancient Roman times. The word barbarian then meant tribes from the north who came into Rome. And Roman people thought, well, these people are uncivilized. They just are drawn to violence for no reason. They like violence for no reason. So when he's called barbaric, it has something to do with violence. He enjoys violence and is not afraid to use it. Okay. Of course, these tribes of people are probably just as civilized as Roman people, but they didn't think that way. Paragraph 5. So that barbaric is identifying the king here. When all people had assembled in the galleries, and the king, surrounded by his court, or people who serve him, sat high up on his throne of royal state on one side of the arena, so like in a box seat maybe, or maybe right in the first row. Picture either of those. He gave a signal. A door beneath him opened, and the accused subject stepped out into the amphitheater. So down on the field, the guy who's accused or girl who's accused walks out. Directly opposite him, on the other side of the enclosed space, There were two doors, exactly alike and side by side. It was the duty and privilege of the person on trial to walk directly to these doors and open one of them. He could open either door he pleased. He was subject to no guidance or influence but that of the aforementioned impartial and incorruptible chance. If he opened the one, there came out of it a hungry tiger, the fiercest and most cruel that could be procured, which immediately sprang upon him and tore him to pieces as a punishment for his guilt. So if you open this one door, a tiger comes out and immediately eats you. But you don't know which door the tiger is behind. And of course, remember, this is in the arena with a ton of people on all sides. Here we go. The moment that the case of the criminal was thus decided, doleful iron bells were clanged, great wails went up from the hired mourners posted on the outer rim of the arena, and the vast audience with bowed heads and downcast hearts wended slowly their homeward way, mourning greatly that one so young and fair, or so old and respected, should have merited so dire a fate. Okay, pause there for A2. Try your best to do this one on your own. 1 or 2 sentences, what happened, and how the character is feeling or changed. Pause your video, unpause it when you're finished. Take about a minute. All right, so you should have unpaused your video by now, finished with A2. I want to go over what you should have in there. So you need to have that during the trial, during the system of justice, the accused person opens a door. One of the doors is a tiger that immediately eats him. Okay, that's what happens. And then how the character is feeling or changing. Okay, we learn, excuse me, we learn that the king thinks the accused should choose his own fate. We learn that the king thinks the accused should choose his own fate. So the question really is this actually justice? This only an accused person. We don't know that he's done the crime or she's done the crime. But if you choose the wrong door, you get eaten anyway. So the king thinks this is really just. But we have to decide for ourselves, do we agree with the king or not? Let's keep reading. After A2, paragraph 6. But remember, that's one door. Tiger comes out of one door. But if the accused person opened the other door, there came forth from it a lady, the most suitable to his years and station that his majesty could select among his fair subjects. And to this lady he was immediately married, as a reward of his innocence. It mattered not that he might already possess a wife and family, or that his affections might be engaged upon an object of his own selection. The king allowed no such subordinate arrangements to interfere with his great scheme of retribution and reward. The exercises, as in the other instance, took place immediately and in the arena. Another door opened beneath the king, and a priest, followed by a band of choristers and dancing maidens blowing joyous airs on golden horns and treading an epithalamic measure, advanced to where the pair stood, side by side, and the wedding was promptly and cheerily solemnized. Then the gay brass bells rang forth their merry peals, and the people shouted glad hurrahs, and the innocent man, preceded by children strewing flowers on his path, led his bride to his home. So one door you choose and the tiger eats you. One door you choose and there's a beautiful woman and you marry her. Sounds like an easy choice, but you don't know which door is which. And let's not forget this part right here. It mattered not that he might already possess a wife or a family, or that his affections might be engaged upon an object of his own selection. So either way, think about if you're a wife of this person or a child of this person who's accused. They're either going to be eaten by a tiger, or they're going to have to marry somebody who's not you and have their own another family. So either way, for the family, it's really bad either way. So keep that in mind. Neither of these options are necessarily good. If the person doesn't have a family, or if something has happened to them, maybe it's better for him to choose the lady. But again, you don't know which door is which. So this is all left up to a lot of chance. And all the people in the arena don't know Are they going to watch somebody get eaten, or are they going to watch a wedding? They show up and they don't know. Paragraph 7. This was the king's semi-barbaric, remember that word, method of administering justice. Its perfect fairness is obvious. The criminal could not know out of which door would come the lady. He opened either he pleased, without having the slightest idea whether, in the next instant, he was to be devoured or married. On some occasions, the tiger came out of one door, and on some occasions out of the other. The decisions of this tribunal were not only fair, they were positively determinate. The accused person was instantly punished if he found himself guilty, and if innocent, he was rewarded on the spot, whether he liked it or not. There was no escape from the judgments of the king's arena. So, look at these words, if he found himself guilty. And like we said, he might not be guilty. He might be guilty. But this is leaving it up to fate and chance to decide, which, in my opinion, could be wrong. Think about what you might think about that. Is this a fair system of justice or not? Paragraph 8, right here. The institution was a very popular one. When the people gathered together on one of the great trial days, they never knew whether they were to witness a bloody slaughter or a hilarious wedding. This element of uncertainty lent an interest to the occasion which it could not otherwise have attained. Thus, the masses were entertained and pleased, and the thinking part of the community could bring no charge of unfairness against this plan. For did not the accused person have the whole matter in his own hands? Go ahead and do A3 on your own, pause the video, and then unpause it when you're done. All right, so you should have finished A3. I'm not going to give you a whole annotation, but I do want to go over some things that should be in it. So you need to say that the other door is a lady, and that if the accused chooses this door, they will get married instantly. Okay. Also include that the system of justice leaves everything to fate and chance. So the accused either sentences himself or frees himself. Okay, so this question of is this fair is going to be answered in an interesting way in our next section. So we're going to read the rest tomorrow. So we've talked about what this system is, who the king is, and tomorrow we're going to hear a story of the king's own daughter having to go through this and what happens at the end. All right, for now though, I want us to look back at those questions. So you have 3 questions here, and you're going to answer all 3 of them with race strategy. Okay, so I'm going to put up our template for race strategy. If you remember from the other day, we said race strategy is the best way to answer short answer questions because it points you in the right direction, gives you a place for text evidence, and then helps you explain that text evidence. So race strategy, if you remember, is 3 sentences. Sentence 1, restate and answer the question. Sentence 2, you say the text says or the text states, and then put your text evidence in quotation marks. Sentence 3, this shows. You are explaining your text evidence. Do not say again what you put in your answer. I want you to explain it further. So if you say, the text states, this was the king's barbaric idealism. Okay, you could put, this shows how the king is drawn to violence and he wants to watch violence in his arena. So you are explaining why you chose that text evidence. So I will give you 13 minutes. I want you to time yourself. At the end, we will go over at least one of these questions together, but make sure you answer them all on your own before we go over it because I don't want to see the exact same wording that I use in my questions. Go ahead, you have 13 minutes, pause the video and unpause when you are finished. All right, so you should be finished with those questions. Let's go over a few of them together. All right, I want to go over the first one because it asks about inferences, which we've been working on for the past few days. So paragraph 1 states, for nothing pleased him so much as to make the crooked straight and crush down uneven places. We paid attention to that quote when we read it in the text. Based on the quote, what inference can you make about how the king rules his kingdom? Here's my example. I'll read it out and then we'll talk briefly about it. The king rules his kingdom, there's my restate, by getting enjoyment from keeping things structured. But in order to do this, things must be crooked and uneven, which he enjoys fixing even more. So this is my answer here. Okay. So keeping things structured, but he still has crooked things or uneven places, and he likes to fix those. The text states, "For nothing pleased him so much as to make the crooked straight and crush down uneven places." And for this one, if it gives you text, you can use that text evidence as long as you explain it in your this shows. This shows that he, the king, really likes the power that comes with governing a kingdom. So if you'll notice, I didn't put the same thing in my this shows that I did in my answer. I said in my answer, I said he likes to fix things that are crooked and uneven. In my this shows, I explained a little bit more. I made an inference. This shows is where I made my inference, okay? I made an inference that the king really likes power. That's why he set up this whole system the way he wants it, okay? This shows that he really likes the power that comes with governing a kingdom. Okay. This one is a little bit more straightforward. According to the selection, what was the purpose of the amphitheater? We paid attention to that word. We looked up those pictures of the arena. The amphitheater is used as a type of court system in the kingdom. So here's my restate. The amphitheater, I could say the purpose of the amphitheater was a type of court system in the kingdom. In the text, it says, it is an agent of poetic justice in which crime was punished or virtue rewarded. So you get your punishment or your reward in this arena. This means, or this shows, that people are given consequences or rewards within this amphitheater. So I said it was a court system, and then I said it shows they're given consequences or rewards. So instead of saying court system again, I made it more detailed and said consequences and rewards. That's the exact way that I want you to think about race strategy and making sure that your this shows answers the question more fully. Okay, don't just put your answer again. All right. Now, if you can see at the bottom, I'm going to look at your third answer when I see your papers turned in on Canvas. But for now, I want to go ahead and go to the exit ticket. So this is a little bit of a check-in. I know that things have looked different this year. I know that last year was crazy. So I really want to be able to check in with you all, make sure that we are on the same page. So my question for you is, do you feel successful in this class so far this year? Do you feel like you can complete the work successfully? Why or why not? So anything from you're confused or you need help with a certain topic, or there's some distraction at home when you're doing remote learning, whatever it is, let me know how successful you feel, how you can complete work successfully or not, and what I can do to help if there is something you feel like I can do. All right, so be honest, and I will look at those when you turn in your documents on Canvas. I'm going to let you all time yourselves on this. Go ahead when I finish talking, pause the video, but look forward to tomorrow. This second half of this story will be interesting, and I am excited to see what you all think about what happens next. So I'll be looking forward to reading those exit tickets. Go ahead and time yourself for 4 minutes, then turn it in on Canvas. I'll see you all later.